I know that there's been some really dramatic frames over the years won when players have needed a snooker. I know people love to see it, but it's a strange one, isn't it? Explaining to a non-snooker fan that numerically when the frame is over, that the frame carries on. That's a strange one. In darts, when they get to 501 and they get to 0, the leg ends. There's no chance for the other player to come back. The game's over. So I think it's weird when the snooker frame gets to the point where there's now no longer enough points to win. The frame should be over. And I would love to see that attacking gameplay, scoring gameplay rewarded with that, rather than the frames dragging on. There are some dramatic frames won needed snookers, but 9 times out of 10, it's an absolute snooze fest.
Not even one snooker allowed to play on.
Once the frame's over, mathematically the frame would be over. If it were up to me, which thankfully, for all the snooker fans listening, it's not.
Any more than 2 snookers or 3 snookers and the frame's dead, you have to just set them up and start the next frame. That would quicken the game up a little bit.
Yeah, there should be a timer on, 5 minutes or something, and if someone can't get the snookers by then, start the frame. We lose far too many minutes on TV. In fact, it probably adds to even hours and hours of players trying to get snookers. Sometimes you'll see a frame go for probably 25 minutes longer, which will be a dead frame 99% of the time, and the person who needs the snookers ends up losing it anyway. So I think that maybe if you need more than 1 snooker, then I think that it should just be frame over. I think if you need more than 5 points worth of snookers, then the frame should just be over. It'd be better for everyone involved, the players and the fans and everyone watching on TV. It'll be for everyone involved. Everyone would actually support the rule as well. I've won frames before where I've needed 5 snookers in the UK Championship a few years ago, and you come to the table just thinking, well, you never know. But it shouldn't really be like that. It's an entertainment sport, and many sports are moving forward. They're speeding their games up for the better of the viewer. And I think snooker needs to make quite a few changes.
That's what makes the game so exciting. Sometimes they can win you tournaments in frames. It can destroy your opponent. If you do happen to win a frame, you need 2 snookers, and then you clear up to win on a black. It's exciting for the crowd as well. So some people enjoy that side of snooker. Sometimes you're pushing a bow out when you need too many. It's just give the frame up. But that's my opinion.
Well, that frame you enjoyed at the UK final,
you
didn't get them in the end, but it was a brilliant watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, everyone keeps saying so. Yeah, so it's an art to getting them. That's the tactical side of things. Not every player knows how to play that side of snooker, and that's the side you need to learn, really. So if you can get some good snookers, it can make the game quite exciting sometimes.
Scrapping the miss rule. I think how the miss rule should be changed is that if you can see a red directly, if you miss the red, then the opponent gets ball in hand. So what's happened a lot in the game now, especially the last 20 years or so, is that players have figured out really clever ways of playing safety shots, which there's not a lot of danger there, and they actually abuse the miss rule in their favour. So they miss the red on purpose to see if the table's rolling off or not. Ball gets put back, then you make your adjustment. Same with a 2-cushion safety escape. So I think that if you can see a red directly, and if you take that risk to try and come off a cushion and hit another ball, that if you do miss it, then the opponent gets ball in hand. That would speed the game up massively. We wouldn't see scrappy frames. It'd be a huge win for snooker. Just if the authorities would do it or not, I don't know, because it's a big change, but I'd love to see it trialled in an event.
How often do you think that happens, that kind of incident?
All the time. All the time, yeah. I abuse it myself, all the players do.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be in a situation where you can miss a ball on purpose to then have it put back. You should always have to play the direct red if you can.
Totally scrap it. The miss rule was always in the rules. I think that's a bit of a misconception. It wasn't a new rule. It was just a rule that they started using properly to stop players playing deliberate misses. That's why it was brought in. Players were playing deliberate fouls, and it's in the last 25, 30 years, it's gone full circle. So now players are now back to playing deliberate misses and deliberate fouls. So I think the rule needs taking out. I think it's bad that players are playing that thin edge snooker escape or the thin edge safety shot, not trying to hit the ball. They're trying to get that tactical advantage. I don't like it. If it were up to me, I'd scrap it.
Yeah, it's difficult because if you scrap it, what do you replace it with? You can't just have 1 miss and then that's it. For me, I would probably cap it at 3 misses or something. So if you're in a snooker, obviously if you can see the ball and you miss it 3 times, you lose the frame anyway. But if you're in a snooker and you miss it 3 times, I don't think that you should be able to put it back more than 3 times. I've seen a game in the qualifier, Matthew Stevens against Wu Yeezy, and Matthew was in a really tough snooker where he's got to come off minimum 3 or 4 cushions, and he missed it probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 times, but one of the times he missed it by literally next to nothing, and the ref still called a miss. And you think, well, it's more or less saying like, the only time he's not going to call a miss is when he hits it, which is a bit harsh really. He ended up losing the frame, going from 20 in front to literally 20 behind, which is not great for the game, you know, seeing someone lose a frame like that. It's quite harsh really.
So if they miss 3 times, what would happen next? Ball in hand style?
No, I'd just say you miss 3 times and then that's it, and then you just carry on from there. So the opponent's got 12 points from their snooker, which obviously they've still benefited because they've got 12 points, but they've not benefited in a way where they've gained like 40 points, and you think obviously it's a sort of like a cruel way to lose a frame.
Yeah.
No, I think I like the mixed rule.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Shaun said a few things that you'd like to change, but I think the mixed rule's okay.
Would you
it's
say
a
there's
stay.
occasions where it's quite harsh on players that you are
Yeah,
making?
yeah. I mean, there's occasions where this is where I think sometimes some of the referees, no disrespect to them, some of the referees don't know the game as well as they should do, maybe. Where it's a difficult snooker to get out of, and if it's a genuine attempt to get out of, and it's quite difficult, then sometimes they've called a miss when it shouldn't be a miss, and vice versa, really. So that's where it gets a little bit sticky, I think.
I think when you look down the qualifiers and you watch Judgment Day and you watch those matches that are still going on at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, it's the biggest indicator in the world that we need a shot clock. It's just madness how we don't have one still in this day and age. Standard of play increases when people play faster. It's more entertaining. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about a shootout style shot clock in every tournament, but I think we need some form of time limit. Players with average shot times, approaching 30 seconds and above, it's just boring. We're an entertainment industry at the end of the day. It's just boring. And unfortunately, when we're competing in the Netflix era, the Amazon Prime era, where people can get entertainment on demand, who wants to watch someone take 30 seconds a shot? It's just too slow.
Shot clock's a tricky one because if you've got a timer going on, especially if there's a multi-table setup, so it'd be very difficult to implement that here. If you've got maybe a beep noise or something, you couldn't really do that. What I think is the referees could probably have a look at someone's average shot time after the interval and sort of think, okay, this guy is actually behind where he should be. Similar like they do in golf. Just have a chat with the player. Look, you are taking a considerable amount of time, or these frames are going for a long time, guys. We need to speed things up a little bit.
Shot clock's a difficult one because, obviously there's players out there who are really talented, and like as we were saying with O'Sullivan, obviously he just plays on instinct and he's naturally a quick player. But then there's other players who, even if you try to get them to play quick, they can't because it's just naturally not in their armoury, they just can't do it. So it's a tough one because if you say, right, you've got to play every shot within 20 seconds, there's going to be some players out there what can't physically do that, so it's not very fair on them either. So it's a tough one, that. I understand obviously why they want some kind of shot clock to quicken the game up, but it's sort of a little bit of a grey area for me.
Stick to the shootout. Most players are not that slow. There's a few on tour that are, but obviously maybe you could have a shot clock up to a certain amount of time. When it gets too ridiculous, then make them hurry up. But if it was like a 30-second shot clock, then most players have played a shot in before that time, I think.
If it were up to me, I'd like to see ball in hand anywhere on the table after any foul. It'd certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons, wouldn't it? And stop these players playing these deliberate fouls.
Nah, I'm not a fan of that. No, just no. It becomes almost like 9-ball then, doesn't it?
The toilet breaks aren't toilet breaks, they're relief pressure breaks. If in a football match a team can't just go to the referee and say time out, we don't feel very good, we want a pep talk. I've stood next to players and they stood at the urinal and they're not even doing anything, they just stood there trying to squeeze out a drop as if they're like constipated or something. So, but they're there to relieve the pressure, they can't handle the arena environment or the match is too much for them. In other sports you have to handle that pressure, you have to deal with it. Look, 90% of the guys who do go generally need to go. Some drink too much water. Like it can happen. I used to do it myself when I was younger. I used to have a lot of toilet breaks because I'd be sat in my chair just drinking water for something to do, and all of a sudden, oh goodness me, I really need to go. I think that if you can go for a bathroom break when the frame's finished and then you're back within time before the referee's set up, then okay, that's fine. But they are used as a tactical break. Like you see some players get upset in tennis where players leave the arena for 5 minutes to sort of recompose themselves, and I don't think you should be able to do that in sport.
Yeah, people are leaving the area of the match to go to the toilet. That's fine. But obviously, as a player, I know what's actually going on backstage. I know they're not. So I'm not sure how we stamp it out. You know, I don't know if we need a security guard to escort a player out of an arena and make sure they're going to the toilet. I don't think we're at that stage. But I know that 9 out of every 10 toilet break that you see as a viewer isn't a player needing to go to the toilet. It's purely tactical. It's purely a delaying tactic. And it's gamesmanship. It's not cheating, but it's close. And for me, it needs stamping out.
Some players obviously can go out even when they don't need to go to the toilet and can sort of use it as a bit of a move. But, you know, if you got to go, you got to go, didn't you? And how do you define whether they need to go or not, you know? I mean, unless you're following them every time when they go into the toilet, if somebody needs to go and you're stopping them from going, saying, no, you've already been once, but they do need to go, I mean, where do you draw the line?
The excessive toilet breaks, yeah, I can understand why. Some players don't need to go to the toilet every frame. They're just doing it. Sometimes it's gamesmanship, sometimes it's just going out to just have a breather. Or sometimes it is genuine when you've got a weak bladder and you just do sit there because you ain't got a lot to do when you're sitting in your chair, especially if someone's at the table all the time and you just end up just drinking the water for the sake of drinking it, really. So yeah, I mean, if someone's going out every frame, then it's a bit much, really. That shouldn't be allowed, really.
Are there any other gripes? Things you'd want to change about snooker?
Yeah, the dress code, I think, for sure. Golf has made massive strides to move things forward, and someone who's the last sort of 6 months have got really addicted to golf myself. I see all the clothesline and the footwear and all these sorts of things have progressed massively over the years. And I think in snooker as well, we could definitely do that because you know, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world to walk around in dress shoes. And you know, I can sort of wear a suit and stuff like that. It doesn't bother me too much, but I know there's a lot of other players out there who are really uncomfortable. I think just if we're looking at targeting a younger generation, like my son, for example, he doesn't look at a snooker player and think, geez, I want to be wearing a waistcoat and bow tie one day. You know, he's looking at all the other sports where, you know, like a lot of the younger golfers coming through look really cool and that, and golfers looking after themselves, looking good. And I think the Champion of Champions was quite good, those T-shirts. I think they look quite smart. So I think we need to really start sort of progressing things and not sort of like staying still, because if you stay still you regress. And I think for the World Championships, maybe the Triple Crown events, keep the bow tie and waistcoat, you know, like Wimbledon do with the white clothing. But the other events, we need to modernise things massively, because we're not getting very many young players from the UK coming through in snooker. It's all coming from China, and we need to target the younger audience to get them more involved.